Greetings, transporters. It's Dr. Kelsey Ralph, and today we're going to talk about traffic impact analysis. So I want you to imagine that there is a developer excited about building a new project. Maybe it's new condos, a new Trader Joe's, or even the new Amazon headquarters. Many people will be excited about the new building, but some will be worried about one thing: traffic congestion. These folks worry that the new building will attract new trips and make the entire neighborhood congested. Are they right? To find out, we conduct a traffic impact analysis. Our motivating question is simple. Will the roads and intersections around the new development be congested? To answer that question, we need to answer a series of preliminary questions. How much traffic is there now? How much traffic will there be without the project? How many trips will the project generate? What modes will the new trips be? And finally, which routes will the new trips use? Before we determine whether new development will cause congestion, we need to get a handle on current traffic conditions. To do that, we conduct a traffic count. We often focus on just a limited time, typically during the morning and afternoon peaks. Next, we want to understand what traffic conditions would look like in the future, in the absence of the development. In other words, if we don't build, how much traffic would we expect there to be in, say, 2035? We can't be sure, but we can project past traffic trends into the future using an annual growth rate. We do this step because we aren't going to hold the developer accountable for this background growth in trips. Next, we want to know how many trips the project will generate. Again, we can't be sure. The most common solution is to look up trip generation rates in an established table, typically from the Institute of Transportation Engineers. The tables look something like this. To estimate the number of trips per day, we would identify the specific land use and multiply the size of the development by the ADT, or average daily traffic. In reality, this step is a little more complicated. We need to account for internal trips on a multi-use site and what's known as pass-by trips or diverted trips, but we don't need to worry about those details here. Not all of the trips to the new development will be made in a car, so we also need to look at prevailing mode split in your city to estimate the modal distribution of new trips. So now that we know how many new trips there will be by car, we can figure out where those trips will be. In this step, engineers use an iterative process to load the new trips onto the road network. First, they assign the trips to the fastest route. But we know that adding new cars to the roadway slows drivers down, so they re-estimate the travel time for all of the routes. With these new travel times, the engineers reassign trips to the new fastest routes. Then they repeat the entire process several more times until the trip distribution is stable. Now that we know where new car trips will go, we can finally assess whether the nearby roads and intersections will be congested. Now remember, congestion sets in when the number of cars exceeds the capacity of the roadway. In traffic impact analysis, we are primarily interested in how much delay drivers will experience at intersections once the development is built. If there is very little delay, the intersection earns a level of service value of A or B. If drivers would experience very long delays, the intersection will earn a level of service value of D, E, or maybe even F. This is important because if there are many intersections with level of service C or lower, developers usually have to pay to make improvements to the transportation system. This is known as mitigating traffic impacts, and it is very costly for developers. All of this is a lot of work. For each intersection, we need to estimate several models. 2 in the base year, that's with and without the development, and 2 in the horizon year, with and without the development. And we need to do all of that at 2 different points in time for the morning and the evening peak. So you can see how the number of models can get big really quickly, particularly if we do multiple intersections. As a result, we only conduct traffic impact analysis for large developments. Of course, the definition of what counts as large varies from place to place, but you can expect to need a traffic impact analysis for a development with 150 homes, 220 apartments, or 55,000 square feet of office space. So, to recap, we conduct traffic impact assessments because we are concerned that new developments will cause congestion. To conduct a TIA, we assess current conditions and make estimates about future conditions. Developers care quite a bit about traffic impact analysis because they typically have to pay to mitigate traffic impacts. In future classes, we'll talk more about the assumptions that go into this process and some of the downsides of the system. But until then, that's it for today. Bye.